Ah, player, glad to see you again. I see your time off here at home has done you good. Can't say I'm surprised, this place is lovely. Anywho, would you like me to catch you up on what's been happening? Very well then, I'll start with the obvious, the Alcemon. Simply put, they've been deemed unsafe for Pokemon battling. Though as you can imagine, that danger isn't towards their trainer or their opponents, but themselves. As such, we've been talking with the Revolu government, and they'll be putting in laws to make Alcemon illegal. So you might want to enjoy the time you have with your Alcemon while you still can. Simply put, if we're not going to snag them out of the wild, we're going to have to compensate them from every trainer. They may not be fighters, but they are still valuable due to being created from the Alchemy Stone. We don't want to risk that kind of science falling into the wrong hands. Luckily, we're not just going to put them down, of course. They're still Pokemon at the end of the day. Instead, we're going to send them to a remote place where they can still live in peace. A place where they don't have to battle, or anything like that. They can just live how they want to. Gish Chimera being one of them, so you don't have to worry about him. Well, the cover-up story of how he was indisposed was that the Alcemon ended his life. Hey, don't look at me like that, I didn't come up with that story. I'm not too fond of framing the Alcemon as you are, but at least this way it'll convince people to hand over their Alcemon at the right time. In fact, there are some people who are doing it right now. They definitely don't trust Alcemon after that. Regardless, it'll be easier to put them somewhere safe. Oh, yeah, she did. Actually, I've looked into that player. It turns out, Nicholas was a real person. Well, not the robot that we just saw. I meant he was a legit, real person. Turns out that mansion we visited used to be his. The real Nicholas used to be a scientist back in the 1930s. That explains why the profile I got of him was so strange. The man isolated himself in that mansion in order to focus on his research. He was studying Pokemon DNA, as well as the Alchemy Stones. And to put it simply, he never left. The reason why I didn't know this until now was because, well, he was so absurd. There wasn't that much about the original Nicholas. But it looks like that Rachel used his identity in order to hide what she was doing. Though what I'm wondering is how she was able to get such technology in order to replicate someone like that in the first place. Maybe we'll find out someday. In the meantime, I'll be helping out with the transition. No, you have big plans too, player. Going up against your sister, I assume. Well, before you do that, I just have to ask one little favor from Luca. These are Beast Balls from the Alola region's Ether Foundation. Long story short, we've discovered the location of all 4 of the Great Ones, and we're going to need you in order to do cleanup duty. Once you've captured all 4 of them, Luca will confiscate them from you and take them to Pitcher Vaults. That will be all, player. Take as much time as you need. And thank you for your help on this case. I'm glad I was able to trust you and put my faith in you. If you're able to win against your sister, I'm sure you'll make a great Pokemon champion. I'll see you around. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, nearing the end of Pokemon Philosopher. Other than a few in-game side quests, there's not much else for you to do, except facing Elizabeth herself and hunting down the 4 Great Ones. Rhycombat, Ryinsect, and Rhyquest can all be found somewhere in the 3 biomes. And lastly, Rygrim will be located somewhere near the Mirror Gate. I've already covered all 4 of them, so I'll save you these encounters. However, if you bring all 4 of them to the Mirror Gate, you will be able to encounter a very special Pokemon. This will be your one opportunity to catch and or battle Philosopher, the alchemy Pokemon. Once a defective Mew, blessed by Arceus, it is now the guardian and keeper of DNA. It has a strong will and sense of justice, only revealing itself to lash out at those who deserve it. It has the ability to alter its own DNA at will, as well as the DNA of others. However, blessing others with alterations must come at a price, for that is the rule of equivalent exchange. This Pokemon's signature ability is Philosopher's Will, which prevents both its stats and its own ability from being altered. Its signature move is called Orichalcum Blitz, where it transforms into a giant fiery being and engulfs its victims with a beautiful flame. It would be an honor for you to meet this Pokemon in the heat of battle, or outside of canon, capture it for yourself. Well, someone's been busy. Hello, player. Have you been able to capture all 4 of the Great Ones yet? Ah, good work. I'm not sure keeping them in the vault will be able to prevent them from reincarnating again, but we have to at least try. Anything to prevent more people from losing their lives again. But I'm not looking forward to seeing their cover-up stories, especially Egon's. Yes, I'm fine. I still wish I could have done more to help him, though. He wasn't the first person I was unable to save. He wasn't even the 12th, but it never gets any easier. That's the hardest part about this job, player. Don't forget that. Anyway, once the Alchemon have been at least put under control, Sarah and I will be leaving the region. She will be going back to Galar to look at something that's going on there, while I've been assigned to Paldea. I was already investigating a case in that region, with all the conspiracy theories in Area Zero, but it appears that we've missed something, so I'll be going back there shortly. You have been assigned here, in the comfort of your own home, so I'd recommend being on standby, especially since we've discovered that Rachel hasn't yet left the region, so I'd recommend keeping an eye out for her. No, scratch that, a magnifying glass. I'm sure you've already been informed of how slippery she can be. Right, I think that's everything. I better get going. There's still a lot of cleaning up to do. Thank you for your help on this case, player. I appreciate it. I hope to bump into you again sometime in the future. I suppose time will tell, won't it? Here it is, the Pokemon League itself, at the tip-top of Neotropolis. Keep in mind, you'll only be able to challenge the Pokemon League if you're able to gain access to the top floor, which your Pokemon Trainer rank will need to be at least an A in order to do so. But if you've done that and wrapped just about everything up, you should be ready to take on Elizabeth. This should be an epic battle of siblings unlike any other. So bring the right items, bring the right Pokemon, get your buttocks inside, and kiss it good luck, cause we're going in. Ah, hello player. I was wondering when you would finally show. Welcome to the Pokemon League, kiddo. Now, normally you would have to face the Elite Four, but 3 out of 4 of them are still away, and one of them is... out of commission. But between you and me, you did help save the world, so I pulled a few strings and we'll make an exception. Let's just say those great ones were the Elite Four. Anywho, I've been looking forward to facing you with my real team, and seeing how much you've grown. Honestly, it's insane how far you've come. Just seemed like yesterday when you left overseas for that trainer school. But things have become a lot more exciting since you came home. I just hope if you're able to beat me, then you'll become a better Pokemon champion than I was. But hey, enough about that. These people came here to see a battle, so let's give them one, shall we, player? That's the spirit. Let's give ourselves and these people a show we'll never forget! Alright, let's begin. Go, Slacking! Not bad, player. Okay, let's see how you handle my supremacy! Yeah, just because this is the last episode doesn't mean we're done with new Pokemon just yet. Introducing Supremacy, the Cave Bear Pokemon. He's the Big Daddy-O of Comfort, evolving from the Pokemon, once it's been leveled up, above level 40, in a cave. All that hibernation has done this big brother bear some good. Although they rarely move, in fact they're often mistaken for snowdrifts due to how it piles up on their back, they don't really need to since they're some of the strongest Pokemon on record. With a mere swing of its paws, it can shatter the earth. Most Pokemon that get on its bad side tend to freeze in place, and not just because of fear. Yes, player, yes, that's it, come on! Show me what you can do! Go, Staraptor! Yes, yes, finally! Oh, sorry, player, it's just, this is the most fun I've ever had with an opponent. But let's see how you handle this. Armed and ready, Kargooskin! Introducing Kargooskin, the cone snail Pokemon. It's the evolved form of Escaboom, so I hope you held on to this little fella. However, you might want to wait a while, since Escaboom requires to be level 50 in order to evolve into Kargooskin.
50?
Yes, 50. However, it's worth it. These fellas are massive tanks, and not just because of their large shell. In defense, Escaboom will stick to their body, at which Kargooskin will pick them up, put them inside of their shell, and then launch them at their victims. These Pokemon can hit a target long beyond the horizon. And since Escaboom are a little explosive, then these Pokemon can deal damage comparable to a nuke. They have a signature move called Shell Cannon, which, well, I've already explained what it does. It shatters the opponent's defenses, both of them, at the cost of this Pokemon's defenses, so keep that in mind. Come on, is that the best you can do? Please, you can do better than that. I know you can. Surf's up, Subasukas! Subasukas is the submerged Pokemon, and as you can see, is the final evolved form of the pseudo-legendary line. Evolving from Croconaut at level 55.
50?
No, 55. Anyway, they are the Lords of the Beach, dominant on both land and sea. They can already use unstable bone particles to stun their opponents, but they can now launch their entire jaw, which can be detached and fired off like a missile, and instantly grow back thanks to super regenerative properties. This is their signature move, Jawpito. Though they are incredibly good, heavily armored hunters, this can also be their own doing. They have been known to overhunt their territory, and changes in their environments could make them vulnerable. So naturally they can be very hostile Pokemon, and the one Elizabeth has is no exception. Is this battle almost over already? Aw, man. Well, you know what? I might as well give this fella some time in the spotlight before he's confiscated from me. Remember, player, Alcemon count as an extra Pokemon in your party. So I think I'll give the one I have one more time to shine. He's earned it. Let's go! Tyrannopult! Introducing Project Devastator, Tyrannopult, the last of the Dripitar line, and the last Alcemon in the series, evolving at level 50. Alright, I think we're done with that joke. Anyway, the Pokemon isn't impenetrable anymore, but due to some fragments of Dragapult's DNA, it's capable of firing ghostly spirits out of the holes on its body. Its signature Tyranno darts are basically a rock-type version of Dragon darts. Despite that though, it's still an Alcemon and isn't very good at battling. In fact, most Tyranitar appear to despise this thing. Elizabeth has apparently had enough trouble with her own. I guess these poor creatures being withdrawn is probably for the best. Don't you? Never mind, mate. You did your best. Okay, save number 1 till last. I know I could have done this with Tyrannopult and gotten the boost, but hey, I have my traditions. Okay, player, time for the big finish! It's on you, Tyranitar! Well done, player. Well done. Oh, thank you so much, player. That was the most fun I've ever had in a long time. It's honestly a shame that couldn't have gone on longer, but hey, all good things must come to an end. Player, I hereby dub thee the new Revolu League champion. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations!
Looks beautiful, doesn't it? You know, when I first began my journey, the only thing I ever wanted of it was the thrill. I never really intended to become the regional champion, but it became a pain in the neck for me when I did, and now I've given that burden to you. But you know, that incident a while ago kinda made me realize something. Being a Pokemon League champion isn't just being the face of the region. It's about looking out for your region whenever it needs it most. Too little too late, I suppose. Just when I thought my own personal journey was over. I suppose there is still far more for me to discover out there. Not just about me, but my Pokemon as well. Don't make the same mistake I did, kid. Do your best to become a better champion than I ever could. Or ever could be bothered to be. Yeah, that's the spirit. Well, I better get some rest. And so should you, player. The journey between you and your Pokemon is only just beginning. Alright then, Mom, what is it you wanted to speak to me about? Well, first, thank you for coming. Second, what I'm about to tell you is top secret, so I would highly suggest keeping it to yourself for the time being. Can you promise me that? Of course, but I'll have to know what it is first. Well, there are operations afoot for Alchemon to be confiscated from all the trainers within the region. We'll be relocating them to a top-secret preserve on an island, where they'll be able to live the rest of their lives in peace. What? You're not going to take my Alchemon away from me, are you? Well, that's if you choose to stay here. You see, kid, we've been looking at your results from Sky University, and if I must say so myself, you are a great Pokemon breeder. In fact, we were thinking of hiring you to help take care of the Alchemon. What? Really? Are you serious? Indeed. Both your teachers and Elizabeth have put in a good word for you. We would be more than happy to have you on board. But of course, this means you'll have to live on the island, and again, if this gets out, you don't get the job, but I really do hope you consider this opportunity. I don't have to consider. If this means I can spend more time with Caesarona here, then I accept. I'll be more than happy to look after the Alchemon on the island. Oh, well then, welcome aboard. We'll be looking forward to having you. Oh, sorry, this is mine. I have to answer it. William, look, I told you. I'm sorry that I pronounced it as Philosophenix, not Velocirect. But to be fair, you... Oh, you're not... Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought... Oh. Yes, she was here. Right. Just try not to make a dramatic entrance. Well, knowing you... Yeah. Yes, I know what you saw out to do, but... To be honest, she's probably long gone by now. Well, suit yourself, but don't say I didn't warn you. That man. I will never understand what goes through his head half the time. Well, if he's coming here, things are about to get a lot more interesting.